Support for this podcast comes from St. Alphonsus Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Clinics, with physicians, physical therapists, and trainers who treat sports and performance-related injuries, with locations across the valley. More information on services and locations at stalphonsus.org/stayactive.
The Senate has eliminated federal funding for public media, including dollars already promised to Boise State Public Radio. In places where there's no cell service, we may be the only way communities get wildfire or flood alerts. We have always served you, not shareholders. And now we need your support. Donate today at boisestatepublicradio.org and help keep Idaho informed, connected, and prepared.
It's The Connector, Idaho Daily News, July 22nd. Happy Tuesday. I'm Troy Oppie. This morning, two large Treasure Valley car dealerships are becoming one. Blaine County School District is considering another short-term funding levy to fill a budget gap. New exhibition celebrates falcons and birds of prey in Idaho. And more PILT than ever. Payments from the federal government to Idaho counties have crossed the $42 million threshold this year. Those stories and more on The Connector, Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. Two large Treasure Valley car dealerships are becoming one. Bronco Motors has been sold to the Kendall Auto Group. A price for the private acquisition was not announced. Bronco Motors includes Hyundai, Nissan, and Infiniti brand dealerships. Kendall, which is based in Boise but also has locations across the Northwest, Montana, and Alaska, took over operations at existing Bronco Motors locations yesterday. In a statement, the company says it expects, quote, most employees to remain on board through the transition and beyond. Idaho will receive nearly $43 million in PILT funding. That's payment in lieu of taxes, a federal program designed to compensate counties and local governments in areas with high density of federal public lands the local entities cannot tax. Idaho Senators Mike Crapo and Jim Risch, in a joint news release yesterday, announced Idaho's share comes from the nearly $21 billion in revenue collected by the federal government from activities on federal lands. The PILT money helps pay for roads, schools, emergency response, and other local costs. Idaho's total is up slightly from last year, according to the U.S. Department of the Interior, and up about 40% compared to 10 years ago. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, demand for housing assistance has skyrocketed in Idaho. But organizations here that are trying to offer that aid are losing federal funding. Here's Jamie Geary with more.
Jesse Tree is an Idaho nonprofit offering legal and rental assistance to people experiencing housing insecurity. It's seen a sharp increase in people seeking aid since the pandemic lockdowns in 2020. Evan Stewart is Jesse Tree's program director. He says the organization has been losing federal dollars in recent years. That means less staff dealing with a growing wait list.
We're assisting about close to between 75 and 100 families per month, but that's really only about 30% of the people that apply that we're able to support.
On average, Idahoans make about $19 an hour, which for many isn't enough to afford rent. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition says about $28 an hour is what a family would need for a two-bedroom apartment. As its waitlist grows longer, Jesse Tree is prioritizing families, veterans, and victims of abuse who are at high risk of losing their homes. Stewart says renters are putting nearly half their budget towards housing. He's seen prices increase by 40% since 2020, which makes it hard to pay for emergencies.
What we see is, these things that come up and people might need to put their money towards their vehicle or their children.
Many Idahoans, he says, are juggling a number of competing priorities. Jamie Geary, Boise State Public Radio News.
The Blaine County School District is considering a short-term funding levy to fill expected budget shortfalls. The Mountain Express reports the approved budget for next year is $1.2 million in the red. That's less than 2%. An existing supplemental levy expires in January. The Express reports that levy paid for programs beyond what the state and federal government support, like all-day kindergarten, preschool, summer school, and gifted programs. Blaine County trustees met Monday in an informational meeting to learn more about the funding shortfall and what options they might have. But that meeting was not broadcast, and no recording was made, according to the Blaine County School District Board clerk. The meeting was informational only. The board could take action to bring a new levy to voters at a future meeting. Blaine County Superintendent Jim Foudy told the Express a new levy is needed. He hopes it'll be on the November ballot. West Ada School District officials yesterday broke ground on the new elementary school in Star, the district's 60th school building, according to a press release. The school is set to open a year from this fall. The name choice is down to two, Beacon Light or Independence Elementary School. The district last month opened a survey on the name for residents in its attendance area and has since eliminated Foothill Elementary as a name choice. District trustees will make the final decision soon. 58-year-old Jerome Mann is accused of stealing from Jerome High School and middle school students while serving as treasurer of the music program Booster Club. The Times News reports Gordon Kilaki faces grand theft charges. He has a preliminary hearing later this week. Parents told investigators there was more than $16,000 unaccounted for, with suspicion dating back to 2023. Kilaki was removed as Booster Club treasurer last November. Police were alerted in February. The Times News reports court records indicate Kilaki worked with the finances of other organizations as well, but no additional charges have been filed. Birds of prey, or raptors, are carnivorous. In Idaho, we have more than 20 species of raptors, from the 2-foot-tall great horned owl to the American kestrel, which is about the same size as a robin. For thousands of years, humans have trained domestic raptors and used them for sport. Abigail Moody has details on how Idaho's Falconry Museum has a new exhibition wing.
In Idaho, raptors are all around us, even if we may not notice it. That is, unless you're a falconer. But what is falconry?
Falconry is an ancient hunting art form that dates back at least 2 millennia, and some evidence indicates much older than that. But it's really the art and practice of using a trained raptor to hunt wild quarry in its natural setting and natural habitat.
John Goodall with the Archives of Falconry, just south of Boise, told Idaho Matters yesterday it is a unique hunting practice, utilizing the bird of prey's skills and abilities, used by kings, queens, and other high society members spanning the Eurasian continent and parts of northern Africa. Falconry has been seen throughout the ages. Idaho is home to the largest falconry museum in the world. The Archives of Falconry has been collecting writing, artifacts, and art on falconry since 1986.
The Archives has an incredible collection that was built over the years, and it's in the form of a vast library, which includes ancient falconry texts dating back to some of the oldest texts we have are in the 1400s.
The museum just expanded due to its growing collection. It is located on the same campus as the Peregrine Fund. Both are educational resources available to visit and learn more about the history of falconry and the many raptors of the state. Abigail Moody, Boise State Public Radio News.
Storm-chasing scientists across several states in our region are gathering clues about one of the most costly weather disasters. As the Mountain West News Bureau's Rachel Cohen reports, hail caused about $35 billion in damage last year, but much about it remains a mystery.
For about 6 weeks this summer, dozens of scientists hunted thunderstorms in the Great Plains and Mountain West. They laid out measuring instruments on the ground and flew others in the clouds to gather a bunch of data on hail. After the storms passed, they fanned out on the side of highways, collecting balls of ice and stashing them in coolers. Becky Adams-Seelin is leading the project. She says it's been 4 decades since scientists studied hail this closely in the field, so there are unanswered questions.
How does it actually form in the storm, and what things about the storm make bigger hail or more impactful hail than others?
Most forecasts today estimate how big hailstones could get, but Adams-Seelin hopes one day they will also warn about how fast hail is traveling or how long storms will last. That could signal when to take cover or pull cars into the garage. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Rachel Cohen.
Central District Health is offering school-age sports physicals July 30th at its clinic on North Armstrong in Boise. Walk-in service is $30. Athletes from the Boise, West Ada, and Kuna schools should bring district paperwork and immunization records. Separately, the health district has also announced an open house event August 1st for World Breastfeeding Week. That is your connector for this Tuesday, July 22nd. For those of you joining us from Instagram today, we hope you enjoyed the show. The word you're looking for is monologue. Send that in a direct message to us on Instagram for an additional entry in our Idaho Shakespeare Festival giveaway, Monologue. We hope you'll consider subscribing to The Connector on your favorite podcast app as a way to stay up to date on the latest local news. And if you don't know what in the world I'm talking about, go to our Instagram feed. You can find us by searching Boise State Public Radio. Finally, a big thank you to everyone who gave during our emergency fund drive over the last couple of days. We've made significant progress making up a $600,000 budget shortfall following the rescission package approval by Congress and the White House. But we have more work to do. If you haven't had the chance to give, you can make a donation anytime at our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. Your financial support is critical to our long-term success and viability. I'm Troy Oppie. Have a great Tuesday. Catch you back here again tomorrow morning.
These days, there's so much news, it can be hard to keep up with what it all means for you, your family, and your community. The Consider This podcast from NPR features our award-winning journalism. 6 days a week, we bring you a deep dive on a news story and provide the context and analysis that helps you make sense of the news. We get behind the headlines. We get to the truth. Listen to the Consider This podcast from NPR.